Welcome to the Black News Network, your source for news from a Black perspective. We're here to cut through the noise and bring you the unfiltered truth. No sugarcoating, no spin, just raw, honest reporting.
From the desk of the emissary, I'm Brother War Smith-Bey, bringing you the news from a Black perspective. I hope today what we're going to talk about is going to enlighten you on some things in America that need to be addressed. It's quite detailed. And I like to walk you into what I'm talking about. And we're going to talk about capitalism, prisoners, or the prison systems. And we're going to talk about the greed of America and how they have capitalized on what's happening here in our country. You know, as a Black man, I am appalled at the ability of a country to not see the tremendous pressure and torture that they have given us as Black men and Black women. I can't exclude them. I mean, we have endured it and we're still here and we're getting better at it, and we're circumventing the things that they do. So here it is, a talk about where the white supremacy got embedded in us since the Emancipation Proclamation. So basically, in 1788, the United States Constitution was ratified. Now, inside the U.S. Constitution was the 13th Amendment. And the 13th Amendment basically said, and you know, it wasn't even a year old because it came out, it was ratified in 1788. And in 1789, that's when they wrote the 13th Amendment. So the 13th Amendment is what we run around feeling very proud to put in people's face and say they did this for us, but they ain't did a goddamn thing. I'm just here to tell you, and I'm going to be straight up today because this shit just pissed me off the way I learned it. So the 13th Amendment has a clause in there that gave them the ability, when I say them, I'm talking about white people, gave them the ability to continue the second wave of terror. In other words, slavery from 1619 till 1865 was the first wave of terror in slavery. And from 1865 forward is the second wave of terror, because they have never missed a beat in terrorizing Black cultures, Black men, Black women, Black children. And for me to be a Black man and hear somebody say I took a baby and buried him in the ground and kicked his head to see who could kick the baby's head off, this is torture. How can these people be so mean? And I can only find one way that a person could be that damn dirty. And that is, that person does not have a soul. That, I don't think you could have a soul and do these things. But in the 13th Amendment, what it says is, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a form of punishment, is the thing, the knife in the back, basically. Because when these white folks sit around the table writing the 13th Amendment, they saying, damn, man, you know, and I know they don't talk like me, but damn, man, we gonna be fucked because we ain't gonna have nobody do our shit. What the hell we gonna do to get people back on these plantations picking this damn cotton? We can't just say that everybody free. Black men and Black women will never be on the same level as white men and white women. Let's put a period on it and make it law. So you can free the slaves, Abe, even though you're a racist too. But you did it so you can unify a country, and it worked. It worked. So except as a form of punishment. So what is the what does that mean? Except as a form of punishment. Except as a form of punishment, you be returned to slavery. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a form of punishment. So they're saying slavery is like a double-edged sword. It's like an oxymoron. It's like a two-faced ass man. You know, you're saying one thing, but you mean another thing. You're giving the freedom and you're taking it back, all in the same damn sentence. The hell with this shit, man. This is some effed up shit. Black people were leaving the South in the millions. They were going to New York, Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles. They were getting the hell up out of there. Oklahoma. They were getting out of the Southern doctrine. Now, by that time, we had all been indoctrinated into the way that they treat us. Okay, so we left the South. We got us good things going up north. Shit, I got me a job at General Motors. I got me a job at the Ford Motor Company. I'm making dank. This is what happened in Detroit, by the way. Detroit made money for black people, lots of black people, thousands and thousands and thousands of black people. But about 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, the white man woke the fuck up and said, these niggas getting too much goddamn money up here. Shut these damn plants down and let's outsource. Let's send this shit to Mexico and save money so we can stay rich. Because we getting poor paying them. And they ain't never going to be on the level of us. So let's pull the rug out from under their ass and see what they do. That's what happened to Detroit. They outsourced every damn thing in order to save money and in order to stop black men and women from gaining their wealth. It's a trickery on every freaking thing we do. It's a trickery. So what did they do after they did all of this? After they all the blacks were migrating north and west and east and everywhere but damn south. Well, some went to Mexico too. What did they do? The United States government came out with the Fugitive Slave Act. Now, the Fugitive Slave Act gave any white man on any state the power and the authority to confiscate property because you were still property and you're still property today. And I'm going to explain that later. Okay, so they did the Fugitive Slave Act, and white men was all over these territories where black people were flourishing, and they would just take a nigga and take him back down south and make a slave. You watch 12 Years a Slave, Lapita and that other, I can't think of his other name, but you watch that. This guy was a prominent black man up in wherever he was, and he was doing well. And they ended up taking him back down south. He wakes up, he got chains on and every damn thing else. They drugged him and took him down. And he was sitting at a dinner when they did it with white folks. That's what you get for trusting them motherfuckers. They always going to be trying to figure out a way to get what you got or to take you out. So the Fugitive Slave Act gave them the right to go ahead and do what they wanted to do. So now, because of that, the southern states had gotten mad at Abraham Lincoln, so they decided they were going to attack Fort Sumter. and let them know we ain't playing with y'all. This is the southern states talking to the Union, the rest of the states, everything north of the Mason-Dixie line. We ain't playing with y'all. We're going to kick Sumter, South Carolina's ass and let you know that we got some shit down here. You can come with it if you want to. So there goes the damn war in 1861, where they start the damn Civil War. So the Civil War goes through 4 or 5 years, and then it ended with the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865. But to keep in mind that it's an emancipation. Now, the definition of emancipation is a formal document, but not a law, not a court decision, but a law, not a law, but a document. That's what emancipation is. A document freeing something. Proclamation is just, hey, I'm standing up, I'm proclaiming that this is what it's going to be, and this is just the way it is. So Emancipation Proclamation don't mean shit. And there were 4 Emancipation Proclamations, by the way. And there was one that talked about compensation, and it ended up being hidden in the American history. They don't want you to know about it. They keep it hidden. So you won't know your true value. You won't know that they tried to give us money and land and they took it right back because we too stupid to figure it out. That's what they thought, at least. So it allegedly ended slavery. But like I say, after slavery was over in 1865, January 1, the second wave of terror began. Okay. But our Black history in this country began on that same day. We didn't have a history before that. Anything that happened before 1865, January 1, is not documented for us. We are non-existent when it comes to that. 1850, 1861 to 1865 is the Civil War. 1865, Emancipation Proclamation. It ended slavery. It started the second wave of terror. In 1865, Black history begins. And at the same time, the Ku Klux Klan began to take people out. That was something that was really, really obnoxious of the white people. And they did it. They did it without thinking twice about it. They formed the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan purpose was to inflict terror on Black people. Now, keep in mind that the 13th Amendment had except for punishment of crime. So the Ku Klux Klan was basically the police force that put Black people back into slavery. They found them guilty of something, then they put them into prison or jail, and then they ended up sentencing them to work on the plantation again for until they die. That's how they got these people back into the plantation. In 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. And that Emancipation Proclamation was issued just so they could stop the southern states from thinking that they were winning. And then over, what did it say, 10,000 or 200,000 Black men joined the Union Army to help defeat the South. And when they defeated the South, they gave the southern states an option to come back to the Union. And they said, all you got to do is take the oath of amnesty and we'll forgive all of your trespasses and all that kind of stuff. So you won't have no charges. But this is the kicker. And this is about capitalism. This is about greed and about people putting people in prison. When Lincoln was writing the Emancipation Proclamation, he promised the slave owners that for every slave you liberate, I'm going to pay you up to $1,000 or up to $100 per slave. So naturally, the Southern generals or Southern plantation owners wanted to jump on that. So they released all their slaves based on what the federal government had told them. And then after all the things were said and done, the emancipation was approved by all of them. Then Lincoln said, we ain't paying y'all shit. We don't owe nobody a damn dime. And if anybody try to come and ask for it, we're going to sue your ass and put you in jail. So basically, they told them, you don't ask for it, don't mention it, we don't owe you shit. So if they offered to pay for slaves being released and you release the slaves and then they say, I ain't paying for it, it's a repo. It's the same principle and process as a repo, but it only works in the favor of the federal government. And you think the federal government is powerful now? They were powerful then too. They do a lot of things without you being able to change it. You just have to run with it. So they screwed all the plantation owners. All right, so in 1865, they started the Ku Klux Klan because since Abraham Lincoln screwed all the plantation owners, they said, well, we're going to have to get these niggas back on the plantation. So they went and started the Ku Klux Klan and started terrorizing Black people again. And during that process, they came up with black codes and they came up with the black codes and all the other stuff that they use to keep Black people from progressing, the Jim Crow laws, stuff like that. And one of the worst things that happened was this movie that came out called The Birth of a Nation. I'm kind of going in chronological order now. This is 1915 now, when the Birth of a Nation came out, and it depicted Black people so bad, really bad. You know, and so many of our officers of the government were Ku Klux Klan members. We had one Supreme Court judge that was a Klan member. His name was Hugo Black. Hugo Black was a Klan's member and a United States Supreme Court justice. So basically it's saying, ain't nothing you can do. This man here, he's going to improve the Klan's doctrine. They had 11 governors were Ku Klux Klan members. 16 senators were KKK. 75 congressmen were Ku Klux Klan members. Black were always a threat to white women, but nowadays you ask Charles Barkley, you don't see it no more. Black men are no longer a threat. Now let's really get into what this topic is about: capitalism, the prison system, and greed. In the United States now, there are 122 federal prisons ran by the federal government. There are 1,566 state prisons. Some states have 3 and 4 prisons, like Texas. There are over 600 county jails. And there are over 3,000 sheriff departments. Now, that is an army of protection for this country. Can you imagine having all that shit to handle Black people? That's what it's for. It's to handle Black people. Because we seem to be the major ones going into these prisons. You know, Black people were no longer slaves. They became refugees because they were running from other terror. So they were refugees and they were given asylum in other countries and other places. Mexico took a lot of black people and gave them asylum. Now we up to when Kennedy got assassinated, Johnson took over. And Johnson was partial to the Ku Klux Klan. And this is the beginning of the presidencies talking about law and order. Now, law and order is a code word, a dog call. That's what they're calling it now. It's a dog call for niggas. That's all it is. When a president stands up there and start hollering, I'm going to be the president of law and order. They're talking about, I'm going to put more niggas in jail than anybody else in this country has ever done. And they ain't lying, because what I'm going to tell you now is how they did it and who did what. So Johnson started talking about the law and order. And at that time, there was between 200,000 and 300,000 people in the entire United States prison system. That's all those different agencies, between 200,000 and 300,000 people. So Nixon came in, and Nixon started talking about the war on crime. Now, each of these presidents felt like they had to use certain things that would get them, certain dog calls that would get them elected. Whether they didn't know what the hell they were talking about or not, they used it to get elected, and America followed suit. In other words, the police departments, the sheriff departments, the highway patrol departments, they all followed suit because they knew they were talking about black people. So after Nixon became forward from 74 to 77, same thing, law and order, law and order. Ain't neither one of them done shit but lock up niggas. That's all they did. And I'm sorry for using that word. I don't mean to use it as much as I have, but I'm just disgusted with the information that comes out when it comes to capitalism, prisons, and greed of white men in America. Now, everybody liked Jimmy Carter, but when Jimmy Carter, between Ford and Jimmy Carter, they locked up another 200,000 people, and I'd say 75 to 80% of those were black. So when Jimmy Carter became president from 1977 to 1981, there were over 500,000 people in prison now. You notice the gradual increase. So after Carter came Reagan, and people put him up on so high of a pedestal, and that was the biggest cracker of all. Reagan got punked while governor of California, and he vowed to get even with the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers went into the Capitol building with all their weapons and their black gear, and they could not be removed because they were within the governance of the law. But Reagan was being looked at like, I don't know if you saw that movie, The Help, when Cicely Tyson was serving these white ladies and her daughter came to the front door and was trying to walk in there. That is what was happening, that type of situation. They had to act because they didn't want people to think that they were weak on crime. So Reagan came on with the war on drugs, and then Nancy Reagan's ass said, just say no. And both of these was keywords, dog calls, to stop black people in their tracks, giving the police the right to just terrorize black neighborhoods, over police black neighborhoods. And, after Reagan came Bush. Now, between Carter and Reagan, the war on drugs and just say no, this law and order president with the war on drugs went from 500, right at 500,000 people in prison to 760,000 people in prison. Notice the gradual increase again based on the presidency. Now, the next one is going to blow you away. Bush, this daddy Bush, from 89 to 93, it went from 760,000 to 1.2 million people in prison, and 75 to 80% of them black. Now, with the prison systems growing exponentially, something's behind all of this. Something is really behind all of this money, all of these people being taken care of by the federal government, the sheriff department, the local prisons, the county jails, the state prisons, the federal, all this stuff being taken care of. Somebody paying for it. And you keeping a person in jail 365 days, that's 3 meals a day. That's some clothing, washing the clothing. That's water to drink. You got to give them water. That's lodging. You're paying for this per person. So here comes our favorite redneck ass president, Bill Clinton. Everybody tried to say, oh, that's a brother, man. He just in white skin. Bill Clinton did us worse than any damn body. And at the same time, Bill Clinton came into office. Guess who was the district attorney in California? Kamala Harris. 3 strikes you out. Bill Clinton endorsed it. That's what they wanted to do, and they did it. And any black person with 3 strikes, they didn't give a damn. They put you in jail for life. And for life, that's a long damn time. 3 strikes, you are out. So from Bush to Clinton, Clinton put over 1 million people in prison with his laws. 3 strikes you out and being tough on crime. And like I said, all of these presidents from Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, they all claim to be the law and order, tough on crime president. Now, Bill Clinton did something that nobody else did. He set the current police doctrine with mandatory minimums. And he created the SWAT teams, the no-knock warrants. All this stuff was created under Bill Clinton. More people got killed, more black people got assassinated under Bill Clinton's watch. But then it got worse under J.W. Bush watch. And even it progressively got worse. Current police doctrine, Bill Clinton. Then we went from Clinton from 93 to 01 to George W. Bush from 01 to 09. We went from, well, he didn't put that many people in jail. He only put about 200,000 people in jail because he was stupid. You know, he really he didn't know what the hell he was doing. They put Dick Cheney in there to run the damn country. That's that greed. Make sure the money stay in the right place. And see, the daddy Bush screwed Osama bin Laden. In other words, they were buddies. They were charming out on the lake, going quail hunting together. Him and the daddy Bush and Osama bin Laden. But then the daddy Bush bullshitted him out of his all and didn't want to pay him. So Osama bin Laden said, I'm gonna get even with your ass. That's when they put them 2 planes. That's all I'm gonna say about that. What happened after George W. Bush from 01 to 09? We as Black, African American, Moors, any other thing, descendants of slavery, we were relegated to a permanent second-class citizen. White man said, there is no law on the books that a white man has to respect when it's pertaining to black people. He doesn't have to respect a single law that help black people. He doesn't have to respect it. That means he can do what the hell he wanted. So when we were regulated to a second class, a permanent second class, we started to experience the segregation. Now, before all of this, black people were everywhere. In every office, they could go anywhere they wanted. But because of these law and order presidents and because of this focus on the Mongols that they call the black man, they had to do something. So black men could no longer be go into these places. So they segregated the schools, the beaches, the lunch counters, the doctor's office, voting, meetings. You know, if you saw had 4 or 5 black people in a meeting, you'd be subject to get arrested. You know, in America, over 95% of our district attorneys, which is the prosecutor, are white. Our juries are white. So prisons, since all these people were going to prison, over 2 million people, what they did, they started to privatize prisons for profit. So prisons, there was only 2 companies that evolved from this, and these 2 companies had the contract for the entire United States, which means they were getting trillions of dollars, regardless if they had people in those cells or not. They got trillions of dollars. So naturally, the state and the federal government would put people in those for-profit prisons in order to be paid for already, because the state and the federal government already paid for that space. So they put the people in there as fast as they could so they could get more bang for their money, because these people were getting extremely filthy rich building prisons. It was an open-ended contract for these particular agencies. Aramark, I know you've seen Aramark, the food people running around town filling vendor slots and that. They do prison food for America. They have the contract, the open-ended contract, to feed prisoners in America. Every single federal and state prison, Aramark has the contract. Billions, trillions of dollars of taxpayer money. See, the taxpayer money, this is that capitalism. When they exchange something for money, whether they do something or not, as long as they get the money, they are cool with it. They get the money. That's the bottom line. They don't give a damn if that prison ain't got no air conditioning. They don't give a damn if that prison need a new paint job. They don't give a damn. This is Aramark. They don't give a damn if the food got maggots in it, which in many cases they found maggots in the food that they were giving to the prisons from Aramark. Corazon. I mean, if you ever had to call somebody that was in prison, you were using this system called Corazon. Or if they wanted to make a call, a collect call out of prison, they had to use Corazon to make that collect call. And that collect call is 10 times the rate that somebody on the street making a collect call would make. So here it is, the federal government, the state government paying Corazon to manage a phone contract, and Corazon is getting paid from the governments. Every time an individual, an inmate, makes a call, Carousel get paid again. Every time a person tries to call in to talk to a prisoner, or accepts a collect call, they get charged too. Capitalism. Dirty ass white people. They are dirty. And they're living large off the prisoners. And the prisoners are in prison for bullshit. Bullshit. They got Securus, which is there to provide medical services to inmates. Inmates, now they got this whole company, whole hospital network that provides medical services to inmates. So if you got 3 million inmates, you got to have 4 million people to work that. So that means the government's paying you, whether you get the sick people or not, for each and every one of them, trillions of dollars. Again, this is the greed that you see in America. This is why we have so many problems getting poor people off the street. With that $160 billion they sent to Ukraine, which begging for more money, by the way, they could have taken 200,000 veterans off the street and gave them $5,000 a month for the next 20 years. They could have fed so many food insecure children here in this country. But yet you want to give somebody $100 and some billion, $160 billion for ammunition when Russia gonna kick their ass anyway. Because Russia is there for the long haul. You're not gonna win fighting that country. And anybody with common damn sense ought to know it. So why is it that Ukraine is still trying to fight Russia? Ukraine is not going to take over that entire land. So Russia is going to slow roll their ass into the gutter. That's what they're doing. They've terrorized that place. It is tore up. So why the hell are you fighting, and why the hell are we stupid enough to give the loser money? We're betting on the loser. What is wrong with America? That there are only two corporations, and it's called Correction Corporation of America, and it's traded on the stock market. So if you want to see what their stock is worth, go to CCA. That's Charlie Alpha. And if you're smart, you'll buy some of that damn stock because it's steady going up. The other one is in Florida, and it is called GEO Group. Gulf Echo Oscar, GEO Group, traded on the national stock market. Those are the only two private corporations that run prisons in America. Now, when I say they run prisons, they're the ones who have them thousands of prisons. They manage those thousands of prisons, and the states and the federal government pay them whether people are in there or not in there. So in these private prisons, crimes against officers in the private prison, because they're not paying the officers the money that they're making. Crime on the officers went up 163% in 2023. 163% rise in crime against officers. These prisoners are pissed. They're pissed because you're providing them piss poor service. Crime against inmate rose 30%. They're in there killing each other. In Jackson, Mississippi, they buried over 200 inmates in the back of the field. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knew they were dead. All right, so who are the investors? Who invest in these damn prisons? And this is where we start getting to the face of capitalism. Seeing an opportunity to make money, and no matter what they put their money on it to make that money and don't give a damn who suffers behind it. Michael Jordan. You probably already knew that, right? But did you know LeBron James invested in prison? Did you know Shaquille O'Neal investing in prisons over millions of dollars. It's capitalism. Capitalism is the economic and political system based on private ownership. And I got that definition out of the Black's Law Dictionary, 11th edition, page 259. Have to put that out there. Texas holds the largest GEO prison in the country, and Florida holds the second largest. In prison, there are 35% Black. Prisons are 35% Black, 34% white, but this is the kicker. Prisons are 35% Black with 41.6 million people in the United States of America. White folks are 34% of prison population with 251 million people. Black people, 41 million. White people, 251 million. White people, 34%. Black people, 35%. Disproportionately screwed up. That means the target is on the head of every Black person in America, especially the Black man. Then here comes that heifer called Hillary Clinton. She started calling people super predators. And if you called a super predator, what the hell does that mean? That means that you are no longer human, that you are a super predator. You badder than a damn lion in the jungle. That's a predator. But they call them Black men predators now, super predators. They crack down on crack that they provided to our citizens. So crack would get you 15 to life, and cocaine would get you a 90-day probation, because cocaine is considered lesser of the two evils, but white folks like the cocaine. So you can do all the cocaine you want. You can get caught with 20 pounds of cocaine and get on 90-day probation. But you can get caught with one vial of crack and get 15 years to life in prison. You know it's wrong. White folks know it's wrong, but it's an effort to get rid of Black folks. And they're successful at it. They are successful at it. But I'm going to say this, but I'm sorry to call it this, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. Black people are stupid as fuck. Because you know that you got a damn bullseye on your damn back. Why the fuck are you doing dumb shit all the time? Stop doing it. Stop giving them what they want to put your ass on paper and in jail. They do it to get you. They get you upset. They feel like you got an anger problem to start with. So they keep asking you the same damn question over and over and over until you pop. And then they got you. They got you. They taking your ass to jail, got you on paper. There's a political and a corporation organization in America that screws everybody. Now, this group here has been around before anybody knew they were around, and they are the ones who make the damn decisions for America. It's a prison influencer. It's called A Alpha L Lima E Echo C, ALAC. It's a political and corporation organization. And what ALAC stands for is the American Legislative Exchange Council. The American Legislative Exchange Council. They dictate how these prisons are going to run. And what they do, let me kind of break it down. ALAC influences senators and people in Congress to pass particular laws to benefit them. That's what they do. And they do it because these political people are so stupid sometimes. Like they'll go to the floor and present something, and it'll have ALAC's signature head on it, and they forgot to take it off because ALAC is the one driving the damn ship. You know, black people, we're progressive. We've been progressed. We've progressed over the time, but they have figured out how to subdue our progression. They subdue our progression with punishment. And the punishment comes from the police doubling down on our culture, stop and frisk. You look suspicious, and then you follow a foolish ass scenario where you go into jail. Police start the stain on America. Police start the stain on the policing system and the prison system. It all starts with the police. And they are so damn good at putting y'all niggas in jail. You know, they've got me too. I had handcuffs on. I got my street credit. But my point is, you got to know how to play the game. Many of us don't. So we end up getting locked up and our time taken away. And many of us are innocent. People get let off their conviction every day, exonerated every damn day because they had no business in there no way. And then many of these states don't want to pay them shit, and they done locked them up for 15 years. So that person, we sorry, you done lost 15 years. But see, that's the same shit happening with us as slaves. I'm sorry. We had y'all ass 300, 400 years in slavery, but it's over now. Let's look forward. Forget about that shit. We ain't paying your shit. We ain't recognizing. They ain't gonna do none of that. They ain't gonna recognize it. They ain't gonna apologize. They're not gonna pay reparations. And just so I'm gonna put this out, reparations are not only money. You need tax exemptions. You need land exemptions. You need more than just money, because the moment they pay us money as reparations, we're gonna spend that shit right back on them.